Madam Speaker, I rise to ask question 83 of 2017, standing in my name in today's order paper. And the question is directed to the Minister, Honourable Attorney-General and Minister for Economy, Public Enterprises, Civil Service and Communications. The question is, can the Minister inform Parliament if the Fiji National Provident Fund Act will be amended so that Fiji National Provident Fund Board includes worker representatives fairly representing the interest of workers, because the FNPF was founded on tripartism?
Thank you. The Honourable Attorney-General, Minister for Economy, Public Enterprises, Civil Service and Communications.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I answer the question, if I could just take just 30 seconds of just correcting one thing. The Honourable Randondro yesterday in the debate on the audit accounts referred to Section 11 of the Audit Act of 1969 and said, are we following that or not? Honourable Randondro, he had referred to Section 11 of the Audit Act of 1969 and said, are we following that or not, and therefore we are empowered. In fact, Honourable Randondro, I urge you to read the revised laws of Fiji, which we sent a copy to your opposition officers. In fact, Madam Speaker, the SDL government repealed that section. So he is in fact referring to a repealed section of the 1969 Audit Act. Just another correction also, Madam Speaker. Yesterday, we had said, when the question was asked about the code sharing with Air India, Honourable Gawaka had asked the question, and we had said, and the Hansard also shows that, and I did say, in fact, this is my quote, in fact, we told this to the Honourable Minister for Civil Aviation in New Delhi, and I went on about how they rang up Air India. The Fiji Times, the OT, actually quotes me as saying that we told this to the Prime Minister of India, and the Honourable Minister and his officials were actually quiet. Mr. Sayed-Khaiyum said the Indian Prime Minister had called the Air India officials. Please don't read the Fiji Times if they can't get facts for you. That's one correction, Madam Speaker. Another one. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Singh's question, no, we are not going to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no supplementary questions. Sorry, Honourable Aiyaz Sayed-Khaiyum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can I ask the Minister to explain why the workers' representatives on the board was removed? Why the workers' representative on the board was removed?
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Speaker, I had answered the Honourable Singh's question quite simply. Let me now go into the details. The law actually, Madam Speaker, no longer has a provision where you have 2 reps from the employers, 2 reps from the employees, and 2 reps from government. Madam Speaker, yes, it was founded on tripartism, and the reason why it was done so at that point in time, because it was a new idea. NFP leaders obviously pushed for that, late A.D. Patel. They were the key drivers of this. And at that point in time, there was no such superannuation scheme available in Fiji, and it needed the buy-in of all the stakeholders. And Madam Speaker, of course, over the years, the FNPF grew, and in fact today it is the largest holder of all cash reserves in Fiji. But Madam Speaker, let me also tell you that the 400,000 odd members that FNPF has, it needs to ensure that it has a board that actually understands investments, a board that adheres to best practices, a board, Madam Speaker, that has the acumen and the know-how to be able to deal with complex commercial, financial, investment transactions. This is why, Madam Speaker, the new board actually has the provision in the FNPF Act, Section 7, subsection 3, subsection C. The Act now mandates qualification of directors based on appropriate skills and expertise in, and let me list that out, 1, investment management, 2, corporate governance, 3, accounting and auditing, 4, finance and banking, 5, risk management, 6, law, 7, acting as an actuary or an auditor, and 8, information technology or similar engineering discipline. The law, Madam Speaker, further ensures that all appointments of the FNPF board goes through a rigorous appointment process which includes an independent, fit and proper person assessment by the regulator. And the regulator, Madam Speaker, is the Reserve Bank of Fiji. During a board member's term of office, RBF carries out continuous monitoring and supervision of the board. From time to time, mandated board members, Madam Speaker, performance is carried out by an independent party. Madam Speaker, under the new competency-based directorship arrangements, the fund has experienced significant improvements. Let me highlight some of the achievements, Madam Speaker. The strengthening of governance mechanism based on modern legal framework standards and best practices, the establishment of a sustainable pension scheme which is actuarially tested and certified solvent, separation of pension business from current member funds to eliminate cross-subsidization. The net surplus of FNPF, Madam Speaker, has increased from $123 million in 2008 to $332 million in 2016. The total assets, Madam Speaker, of FNPF has grown from $3.5 billion in 2008 to today's asset valuation of $5.1 billion, Madam Speaker. Yes. You see, Madam Speaker, the point of this is, the questions being asked here, they're not looking at the governance issues. They're not looking at the financial issues. These are all window dressing issues. Oh, why don't you have members of the trade union? A trade unionist may be a good trade unionist, but do they know about financial management? Do they know about investment? Of course, that's the answer. I'll tell you why. Because when we had trade unions, let me tell you this, what happened. Let me tell you, when we had trade unionists on the board and others without the competency test, let me tell you what happened. Madam Speaker, the fund, Madam Speaker, yes, I'll tell you what happened. Yes, we did. We did following tripartitism. And we'll tell you what happened. Felix Anthony and Daniel Urai collected $185,000, Felix Anthony, during 2007 to 2009. Daniel Urai collected $156,000. We did. We did. Following the Act at that time. Following the Act at that time, it required to have members from workers, from the unions, from the employers, from the employees. Yes, we did. We followed the law. We appointed them. And Madam Speaker, let me tell you, it's not just about the clock did not start ticking when Daniel Urai and Felix Anthony joined FNPF. It started way before that. And let me tell you what happened when you had all these reps and how they're making it out to be a wonderful thing. And Honorable Prem Singh is going only for short-term political mileage. He's not concerned about the ordinary members of FNPF. They're not concerned about the ordinary members of FNPF. They just simply want this as a political mileage. At the end of the day, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, what really matters is how much of a return on investment the individual members are getting. Yes. At the end of the day, Madam Speaker, what matters is whether our young employees today, our youth, people who are 23, 24, 25 years old, who are contributing to FNPF, in 25, 30 years' time when they retire, will the fund be viable or not? Will the fund be solvent or not? And let me tell you, Madam Speaker, what actually happened. The fund, Madam Speaker, as identified by international bodies, by World Bank, IMF, ILO even, an actuary from Mercer, Australia, they said the fund was operating on an unsustainable basis. In fact, financial and actuarial experts stated that under the old scheme, the fund would have run out of its reserves by 2023, the reserves, 2023, only a few years' time, and would have exhausted all its assets by 2056. So the young people now who are working today, by the time they would have retired, there would have been no paisa, no money. It's gone. Halas. Because of the system that these people are advocating. Let's get two people from the union, get two people from the employer, irrespective of how much they know, whether they know about investing in hedge funds, whether they're investing about offshore, what's the rate of return. We saw what happened in Natandola. We had actually FNPF investing with an undischarged bankrupt from Europe. Undischarged bankrupt from Europe. Before the government stepped in with the new FNPF board, they would have, Madam Speaker, also expended nearly $1 billion of FNPF funds in one project. We know what happened in Momi. In Momi, Madam Speaker, the FDB together with FNPF decided to lend to an investor who subsequently was locked up in New Zealand for corporate irregularities. They kept on eating into the funds. And we had to put in place specific laws. There are specific laws, you can go and look at it. At that time it was called the Momi Decree and the Natandola one. We had to step in to do that. These were the kind of decisions that were being made by members of the FNPF board then. based on tripartism. So it's not an issue of tripartism. If you go and talk to an ordinary FNPF member today, Madam Speaker, they just want the best person to look after their money. At the end of the day, that's what matters to them. The best person is looking after my money. Even if you talk to the employer, if they are now, because the employers are now making an increased contribution. Before it was 8%, no 8% each. Now we mandated through the law that employers give 10%. FNPF over the years, Madam Speaker, have not made strategic decisions. If you look at Singapore, the rate of home ownership in Singapore is 93%. 93% of all Singaporeans own their own property. And one of the reasons for their success is that Provident Fund actively participated in home development. What did our previous FNPF boards do? They did not actively participate in that. They simply were lending money to governments, building properties, lending to a few corporates. That's what they were doing, Madam Speaker. And we had, Madam Speaker, the rate of return on investment for some members was 25%. Honorable Prasad knows this. Some members were receiving 25%. Some members were receiving 21%. Some were receiving 18%. Some trade unionists I know were receiving 19%. And within 4 years after retirement, they've got the entire sum back. Everything else, they were living off all our young people who were depositing their money. That's why the fund would have been unviable. So, Madam Speaker, the fact of the matter is, we cannot go back in time and fix it up. What we can do, though, Madam Speaker, is ensure that the future will be secure. And the only way the future will be secure, Madam Speaker, is ensuring that we have the right people on the boards to be able to ensure that these funds are managed properly, the right decisions are made. We now have the RBF as the regulator that does the assessment of whether a board member is fit and proper. I can tell you many people who sit on the boards before, they most definitely did not fit in the fit and proper category. Many of them. So, Madam Speaker, this is the reality. And the reality is, of course, in the previous years we had our accounts that were unqualified. In 2009, $327 million worth of investments were impaired by the fund. What this means, Madam Speaker, that it was that the actual value of the investment assets were overstated in the FNPF books. So, Madam Speaker, this is the reality. The reality now is that the fund is on a very good footing. The fund, Madam Speaker, as a result, has won now a couple of international awards. Recognition by independent third parties that the FNPF fund is on a good footing. That is being managed well. And this has been recognized by the International Social Security Association. It's no minor feat for the International Social Security Association to actually recognize the FNPF for this, for reforming the pension and financial literacy schemes, Madam Speaker. So with those few words, Madam Speaker, I think we all need to agree in this House that we need to have good boards. As was stated yesterday by some member from the opposition, when we were discussing FEA, they're saying, you know, we've got some good boards everywhere, the boards are doing well, and therefore the organizations are doing well. Similarly with the FNPF, we're putting a couple of people, there are a couple of board members in the FNPF who actually don't want directors' fees. They're not receiving it because they see it as a part of the social obligation. But they bring a particular level of expertise. So it is with that view in mind, Madam Speaker, we need to ensure that we have the right people for the job, not just simply say, well, this is what used to happen, let's do that. There are lots of things. We used to go by horse and cart before, doesn't mean we still go by horse and cart today. We didn't have mobile phones a few years ago, we now have mobile phones. In the same way, if we recognize there's a need to ensure that we need to reform the FNPF and have the right people, we will do so, Madam Speaker, ultimately for the benefit of all Fijians. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable
now that we know that there are some very smart people who are looking after the fund, can we indicate to the young people of today what their pension will be when they leave the fund at the age of 55? Like in our case, we were told that it will be 15, 18, 20, 21%. A young person starting out today, can we tell him how much of his fund will he take as pension when he retires? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, there's a couple of things that contribute to the members' overall funds. One, as I highlighted earlier on, is the rate of return on the investment that FNPF makes. So you'll see FNPF on a yearly basis will say this year the assets were invested, the rate of return of 6%, 8%, 7%, 12%. That's how it gets affected on an annual basis. But by law, there is a mandated minimum of 8 point, I don't have the exact figures on me, I can give that by way of written question. I can give you it's in excess of 8%. But the point of course is that the fund actually grows, which gets shared by all the members, is the manner in which those investments are made on an annual basis, but by law, it's in excess of 8%. Madam Speaker, if you go to Australia and New Zealand, where the superannuation scheme is actually liberalized, so you actually have private companies that provide superannuation, the rate of investment on those is 2%, 3%. In fact, it comes down sometimes, depending on how well the investments have done. Over here, FNPF members' funds are actually guaranteed by government. The contingent liabilities that Honourable Prasad was bringing up last year in the budget debate, he was including the FNPF funds in that. That is included, Madam Speaker. So it's guaranteed by the Fijian government. It's not guaranteed by the Australian and New Zealand governments. They have a liberalised approach to it. So, Madam Speaker, we have a very robust system as long as everybody adheres to the rules and we have good governance in place.
Thank you. I give the floor to the Honourable Bolitavu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With all the explanation given by the Minister for Economy in regards to this and the competency the fund has at the moment, why there is less benefits to the members, and why is the member interest still less than 10% at the moment? Member interest.
Annual interest,
It's 60. Why it's
The question.
Madam, given all the explanation in regards to the competency of the fund at the moment, why there is less benefit to the members? Why don't we have more options for the members to benefit from the fund? And why is the member interest still less than 10%?
Madam Speaker, I'd like to have a private conversation with Honourable Bolitavu because I don't think that he knows what he's asking, nor do I can comprehend what he's asking. I mean, where did he get the 10% from? What benchmark are you using? I mean, he suddenly plucked out 10%, why is it less than 10%? I mean, where is that from and how is that being used as a benchmark? And Madam Speaker, the point of the matter is why is the interest less than that? The rate of return on any investment, you go and invest in a property today, Madam Speaker, they will tell you you're doing very well if you get a rate of return investment of 8%. If you go and deposit your money in a bank, how much money is the bank giving you in a term deposit? 3%, 2%, because of liquidity issues, because there's huge liquidity. It depends on the liquidity issues. So you see, unfortunately, I didn't want to say this, but unfortunately, Honourable Bolitavu again is demonstrating his lack of knowledge in these financial areas. That's why I didn't want to embarrass him by saying that. But again, Madam Speaker, that question is misplaced. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no other